Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Hey, thank you.
Since we are all right on time, I guess we have the burden of hanging out for a little while, giving it till about 5:10, maybe 5:15, as people kind of drift in. As we move forward, I'm gonna try to start closer and closer to time, though. So if you need to make any last minute runs or grab anything from the kitchen, be my guest. Hey again, everybody. See, we've had several more folks join us. Thank you, and thank you for coming out and welcome. We're just trying to give it about 10 minutes for additional individuals to drift in. Also, having a little challenge here, sharing my screen, and it looks like that'll be rectified in just a moment. Let's see. Hey, Nia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I see all the great ones. Dr. Brodus, Shantice, Principal Branch, Allison. I thought you weren't going to be able to make it, Allison. Miss Davis, you're here. Nora, you're here.
I'm at the work event right now.
Oh, okay.
I'll be on
Okay.
as long as I can.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Okay. I'm not going to go name by name. I know Miss Thayer is going to give me um, grief about that either way, whether I call her by name or not. But I'm glad that everyone's here. Okay. Let me see. Waiting to become. Okay, we should be good to go. Hey, Tyler, thank you for that, sir. I appreciate you. Can everybody see our meeting agenda for tonight? You can either throw a thumbs up or a quick okay. Thumbs up. Okay. All right. So we've got just one more minute to kind of let people drift in. This afternoon, main three topics is going to be discussion of beers 2024, 2025 budget advocacy. I did my first Prezi presentation. It is not as beautiful as I wanted it to be. I've seen everybody else do better, but I did my first really involved Prezi presentation, so I'm a share that, I guess, with everyone. But we're just gonna kind of go over the budget timeline. You know how the budget is formed and what we need to do now between now and really the start of budget season. The mayor generally begins to work on submitting her budget kind of between like before May, tries to get her budget over to the council, starts working on it seriously around March. But those who advocate early are top of mind, and a lot of those individuals start around now. And so we want to begin moving around now and also make it easier for anybody who wants to help out. Then we're going to talk about our draft sponsorship package plan, which I may end up having to read on behalf of our vice president because, and if for those of us that are persons of faith, if you would please say a quick prayer for her. She's suffering with loss in the family, someone that's very close and dear to her, and we want to raise her up and lift her up in spirit. We're not going to. I know last month we had a incredible meeting. It was a 3 hour, uh, almost 3 hour meeting, and we got excellent information from Principal Branch. We were able to cover a range of topics. Um, this month, we're going to try to get back to what we usually try to do, taking into account that it's a Thursday, it's still a school night, and we all still have to, like many of us, still have to be at work at school in the morning. So we're going to try to get it back to an hour and a half. Keep it light. Let's see. Uh, We're going to talk about events prep, back to school night after that, and then we'll probably just open the floor for discussion. One thing that I did miss: discussion of PTO priorities and objectives. Um, I have full board there, but I meant to put full body because we didn't necessarily have time to go over that last meeting. We had to go over. We had to go over uh, some involved content there. And so the time is now 5:13. Um, I want to ask if there are any announcements from the floor and the audience. This is a perfect time for anybody and everybody who wants to just share upcoming events for the week of the month to go ahead and just share the information. I know that at least one upcoming event would be trunk or treat. So if Miss Gilbert is on here, if she would have a quick discussion of the trunk or treat event, that would be great. Or anybody else who's participating with that event, just share briefly.
And Q, this is Nora.
Hey, Nora.
I do know with the trunk or treat, if parents want to be participants in there, there's a sign up link, and I'll find it and drop it in the chat. I don't know what to do for those that are maybe viewing this Facebook, but I'll just drop it in the chat because I saw that there are several time slots that you could be at the school to be able to participate, but there's a sign up link if you wanted to do that. So I'll find it and drop it in the chat.
Hello,
Awesome.
everyone. This is Miss Washington. I'm the school psychologist at BS this school year, and also PBIS chair.
Hey, Miss Washington, how you
We're
doing this year?
Hey, nice to meet you. Sorry I couldn't be on the first meeting, but I wanted to make sure I definitely got on this one. So it's nice to meet everyone. Excited to work with you all. Regarding next week's event, we are in the final steps of finalizing all the logistics for the day. So my goal is to get out email tomorrow to staff, parents, community, etc., with all the finalized plans and logistics.
Okay. All right. And that's the finalized plans and logistics for trunk or treat. If you can
Correct.
just, talk about the time, and if you can, if I know Nora is going to drop the sign up sheet into the chat, which I'm hoping is helpful. But if you can just go over the broad strokes, when parents should show up, you know, if that's indeed going to be on like the 31st or any
So
of
the
that, or do
event
you want to wait
is
until you're
going
able to finalize?
Yeah, I was gonna say the event is definitely gonna be on Thursday, October 31st, in conjunction with the storybook character parade with Miss Jarrett, our librarian. However, any other details, I'd rather just wait and finalize that in the email tomorrow.
Okay. All right. We'll look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome, Ms. Washington. We appreciate you. Anybody else have any announcements before we dive into our agenda?
Q, this is Nora again, and this is not school related, but it is community related. This Saturday is National Prescription Take Back Day. There are some flyers in the school. And this is a very important time that if you want to ever really reduce substance misuse and making sure that your children don't get access to things that they shouldn't have, this is the perfect time. At our different police departments, there will be a box where you can just drop off, no questions asked at all. And then also some of our CVS, they actually have prescription, a small box, but a place where you can return old prescriptions that you're not using and you want to get them out. So it's a safety issue. It's also a prevention issue, and I'll drop that information in the chat as well. Thank you.
Very much appreciated. Incredibly important issue, and it is related to the school because those substance abuse challenges can strike anyone anywhere, right? So I know that you and Ambrose have done a lot of work around the opioid epidemic, and you've done a lot of work around both prevention and helping people heal from substance abuse issues for a long time, several decades now. So salute to you on that as always. Any announcements for November? I know that
Oh,
one
sorry.
of our
Wait, really quick.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Okay,
Oh, I
so
sorry.
just
we
wanted
hold
to
on,
add
hold on,
that
hold on, hold on. So we've got Miss Courtney Washington, and then who else? Who else said hello?
there.
And then Miss Thayer. So so we're gonna go in order of Miss Washington, and then you can have the floor, Miss Thayer.
Hello, everyone. This is Ms. Washington, pre-K 4 teacher and the ECE chair. So I just wanted to announce that ECE is having our annual Fall Fest. And if there's any early childhood parents, pre-K 3, pre-K 4, or CES parents on the call, we are looking for parent volunteers to man the stations. So it's November 1st. It's Friday, November 1st. So next week is a fun-filled week, it seems like. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Okay. And then Ms. Thayer.
And I just want to remind everyone, we have picture day next Wednesday, October 30th. So I know AP Hoagland has posted the information in Class Dojo, but just make sure your kids are ready for picture day.
Awesome. Okay. And then one of our announcements is that, Principal Branch has been gracious enough to try to help us to not crowd the fourth week of the month with events so that we can have the PTO meeting. But next month, the PTO meeting would fall, obviously on a holiday, Thanksgiving, around the Thanksgiving holiday. And so after trying to think about how to move it around and where we want to put it, we just decided we'll not necessarily have a PTO meeting next month. We are in the process of trying to host actually 3 meetings for lead instructors, if that is able to happen. One for ECE, I think pre-K, not pre-K, but K through third, and then maybe fourth and fifth. I have to check back with them to make sure that I have this right. But that would be very specific for parents in those grade levels so that they can so the lead instructors can talk through the different things that they want to present to parents, because they don't get a lot of community or parent engagement exposure, but also so parents can ask direct questions. If we do that, those will basically be our public meetings for the month, but they'll be very specific to those affinity groups. And then in December, it looks like on the 17th, we're going to do our Winterfest event again. It was incredibly successful last year. I need to make sure that those pictures actually get out. The auditorium was packed. I remember so many people came through the door around 7 o'clock around 6:30, that we were literally shocked, and we almost didn't have enough provisions for everyone. We had to start subdividing the gingerbread provisions for everyone. But it's now hopefully going to be a beer tradition. And we'll do a gingerbread house. We'll do ugly sweater contest. We'll do probably hot cocoa and pizza, or maybe we'll change it up this year, but we'll definitely keep the hot cocoa. And we'll probably do gift cards for everybody who wins one of the contests. Maybe first place winners will probably like do $50 gift cards. So that is most likely going to be what we're doing through the end of the year in and around the school. Outside of that, we're going to be focused on getting ready for advocacy starting in January. So our recording secretary just messaged me, and she's not able to do the meeting minutes. So you all bear with me for a moment. Let me go ahead and pull those up in our Google Drive. I have a lot going, so I'll just open a new page. No, actually, I need to open.
And then Syncue, I'll do the meeting minutes for her. She messaged me as well, so I'll do them for her for tonight's meeting as well.
Okay, I really appreciate that, sir. As always. Okay. I don't know if you guys are seeing all this. Cover your eyes. No, it's nothing. There's nothing really proprietary in here, so don't worry about it. But Okay. Let's see. General body meeting. Okay. All right. So in our last meeting, our agenda was Treasury update and approval of a new treasurer. It was an awesome meeting because we were able to get Miss Nia Nicholas on board as our new treasurer. Although we haven't actually been able to get all the documentation together for we needed for the bank in between. But she is moving forward, moving full steam ahead. She's got kind of several projects of her own, including playing a leading role in our sponsorship efforts and helping to organize all of our financial infrastructures, which I know a lot of people have been asking about how to donate. We had to do some account transfers, and she was able to get that handled this weekend. So we will be adding that to our Google Form sign up, and you should be able to find that like right on the website. We'll also create direct links that we can send out. So we had a couple steps to take care of there, and Nia has been great already in taking care of that. Let's see. We did recognition of an outstanding Ambier's parent this month. There, I asked a couple people, but no one was recommended to me, and I didn't hear anything directly. Which I know Ambier's parents do incredible things for all of our school community all the time. But if anybody, after I go over the minutes, wants to put forward any just recognition or recommendations for outstanding parent. I know that we just started that last month, and so take a second to gain momentum. But we recognized Damali Flippin last month. Um, we did our fundraising committee updates and discussion. Um, Coach Jackson wasn't able to be here for the athletic program overview. Our girls did pretty well in cross country. I think uh, they did pretty well. The lowest time I think was, well, never mind. I'm not gonna, because I don't want to misquote her time, but they were in like the top 50, or at least one of our girls was in the top 50. Let's see, which is really good because it's like a marathon and it's a pretty long course. Um, what is it? We did this discussion of Winterfest and events. I don't know if we actually got that. I think we tabled that discussion and we moved right to talking about some of the fifth grade challenges and advocacy with Principal Branch. He was a gentleman and a scholar. He kind of broke down what he's trying to accomplish through all that. I'm doing most of this from memory just based on the agenda, which is why I'm not scrolling down, because I like for the recording secretary to present these for a vote. But and also we can put these out either upon request or on our website, which is probably a better idea. But we talked about the why the fifth grade class was having lunch so late in the day, and how trying to do prep for CAPE standardized testing and prep um, for middle school, high school, and college, but definitely for middle school standards, where our students are not receiving as much uh, hand holding and foundation building or fundamentals building, and where the teachers are content presentation specialists. And unless they do special programming for those who are not completely ready to just run with it. A lot of our students, when they hit middle school and especially high school and college, are not prepared um, to move forward. They need some of that hand holding, and we're trying to make sure they have as much as they need this year. Hence the schedule. The structure was supposed to be to allow the students to have snacks throughout most of the day. Whenever they felt hungry, fresh fruits and vegetables would be provided. There were some program interruptions and some different things that happened that he and we have been working on, and we pushed that lunchtime back so that we could make sure that the students were not having having itis after lunch because he noticed a shift in behavior after lunch that didn't necessarily lend itself to double science and double math. We talked about the uh, recess schedule and the PE that will be introduced for one class and taken away from the other as we double down in preparation for CAPE. And we talked about some of our various enrollment issues, which if Principal Branch has time during open discussion, there's a follow-up question about if we did make the number of either 30 or 60 over projected enrollment. The meeting went extremely well, I would say. It was very long, but it went extremely well. And I think all of us that attended enjoyed the information that Principal Branch presented and appreciated his time and attention to detail there. Let's see. Did I miss anything? Don't think I missed anything. And I want you all to know I do not want to be the only person presenting. Um, so I may actually, Tyler, I may actually ask you for a favor because I don't think these folks want to hear me talking all for like the next hour. If you can possibly go over when we get to it, our sponsorship, our planned sponsorship campaign, if you still have that info up or if I need to pull it up. But I think that also Bianca may have sent us some notes, but I do not want to be the only one talking because I want to do my Prezi presentation and be quiet. That said, does anybody have any questions or thoughts or concerns about the meeting minutes from last month? Anything that needs to be added? I don't know if you can copy and paste a link to them into the chat, Tyler. Would you mind trying to do so in case anybody wants to review them in detail?
Yes, I will. Oh, actually, it is available on our site. I
Perfect.
did do that already, so
That's awesome.
it is here. I'll paste that in the chat.
Okay. And then I need to send something over to you real quick to further facilitate that process. And we're trying to be, what's the word? Very, we're trying to centralize resources and be very organized in the way we're using our site. So you're going to notice that we put a lot of our resources and things related to the PTO on the Amber's PTO site. That is, and we're going to try to streamline it and make it even easier to navigate. But that's a primary goal. That way we have everything in one place. Okay, let me see. Um, Too much personal information presented and using the wrong card. Ooh, one subscription. Give me just a second. Because I don't even know what that is, but okay. So, get that over to you. Send. There we go. Okay, so move this out of the way. Okay. So our next agenda item, and I wish I could present both of these at the same time. I actually need to get a little bit better at swapping my screen shares. So I think I'm almost there. There we go. Our next agenda item is actually our account balance. As I said, we haven't been able to get Nia over to become a signatory on the account. And so she is not able to review that information and present the treasurer's report as yet. And so I will just share the current account balance for everybody's, just so everyone can be aware. And I'll, talk through some of our expenditures. So we currently have an account balance of $13,134.56. We did engage in a planned expenditure of $2,030. Um, uh, as voted upon at last month's meeting, to assist one of our Beers family members who was harmed in a fire, whose home was lost in a fire. Um, we also are currently considering a planned expenditure of around $600 or $700, give or take, because we do not currently have a laptop that our recording secretary can use or that we can use for sign-ins, and it is creating a little bit of a challenge around getting our minutes done and some of our other documentation process. So we're considering that. Any questions around those expenditures or our current balance? Okay, we're going into our Prezi presentation. Okay, so I'm proud of this, but also not proud of this because I've seen much better. But this is my first stab at doing a decent Prezi presentation. And what I'm trying to achieve here is just giving everyone an overview of what the budget process looks like. I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to find the right photos, but I eventually had to just yield. So, basic introduction. We're outlining our strategic advocacy efforts to engage stakeholders for Amber's Elementary's budget priorities, including crucial information for enhancing educational resources and community involvement. Um, our primary objective is to inform stakeholders of primarily the timeline around budget advocacy, but also around key issues, especially taking advantage of the period before serious budget advocacy starts, which is around the time the mayor submits her budget, but also keeping in mind that the organizations that compete um, for budget priority or large budget allocations in the city are all generally starting now. We're not asking for a huge amount, but I think that we're at a point now where Beers' population has been growing, and we have been dealing with a lower than enrollment uh, we're dealing with lower enrollment projections than we expect each year, and we've had to, tighten our belts every year since the year before COVID, honestly. And I think that if we don't speak up now, that trend will likely continue, and I think it's going to be good for our school. Obviously, advocacy is essential. One of my son's friends, my son is now attending school in Florida. He come over. My daughter was visiting town last night, and we ended up talking for a long period of time. I was giving him a ride home, and he was telling me how his whole family's trying to get him to vote, but he's not really interested in most of the candidates running. None of them really speak to him. And I was like, okay, well, at least you're not voting for that one guy, so that's good. But I said to him, well, one of the things you have to take into account when you're voting is when you vote, you are proving to any government official you ever approach that your voice is significant. It's not about who you vote for. It's about when they look at those voter rolls when you come to testify, when they look at those voter rolls when you ask for a change in policy, when they look at those voter rolls um, when you call them out on something they do wrong. Um, and either your community or you as an individual have not been politically involved. It's like I used to describe it in River Terrace. It's like showing up to a work site asking for a paycheck. You never worked a job, right? You really don't have very much coming. There's a lot to be said for fairness, but it often just comes down to showing up and speaking your truth, right? Consistently enough where you rise to the level of other individuals who do that every year consistently, because there's only so much time, energy, effort, and attention, and this is a city of 700,000 individuals. So if we want our voice to be heard, we have to raise it. Obviously, we're going to do a quick goals overview. This section outlines the strategic goals of our advocacy committee, which will be taking the lead on that. I will work on that principal branch. I think I actually have someone who can do. Actually, you've already met Josh. I think I actually have someone who can do some of those. So we will definitely get on that. But I'm looking to actually maybe purchase some of those if possible. But we'll definitely get on that. Okay. I want to start tonight with identifying with the LSAT, and the LSAT doesn't have to submit everything tonight, but also I want to collaborate with the LSAT and identify with the PTO what our budget priorities should look like. I'm already honestly receiving a couple of them. And so one of our budget priorities is having enough devices for K through 2 and 3 through 5, which we discussed a bit last month and in other meetings. Uh, another priority another priority is making sure we have grass on the soccer field. I know that was something we worked on last year, and because of the way we're using it, and maybe we need to go to turf, but because of the amount of watering we can do and so on and so forth. Every year the grass comes up, and by like mid-year, end of year, it's a little bit more of a dust field than it is a soccer field. So, and I've actually played in the parents versus student game, and let me tell you, if you slip on that field, it hurts. So, and Allison, don't laugh at me because I know I was going hard, but we're already receiving some of our budget priorities in here, and we need to keep that trend going because we need to make sure that everybody's voices are heard and that we're advocating for what we need as a school family. Okay. So I want to make it easy for folks, right? The first thing I want to do is I want to, once we get all of our budget priorities together, we'll create a form letter. It's a letter that you can use as a template for email. You can change it. You can keep it as it is. It's a letter that you can use if you call down to the council. 3 to 6 calls will change a council member's priorities. Trust me. That's an old tactic that if anybody has ever heard of Rush Limbaugh, it's an old tactic he used to use. He gets 6 people from their district to call a senator's office, and all of a sudden they've got an extra priority on their list because when you get 3 people to take action, that's good. When you get 6 people to take action, you've got the basis for a serious issue, and you'd be surprised how little it takes because most people actually just do not take action and engage. Either they don't have the tools, they don't have the guidance, they don't have the exposure, or they just don't have any interest, right? So by taking action and sending in a basic form letter or calling the city council and reading the contents, we can actually generate a lot of change. Beyond that, we want to actually do advocacy days. We want to go down to the council. Like, we're not going to be doing a whole lot like standing in front of the school or anything like that, but go down to the council, sit down with the council chair, who is the head of the education committee, which is a part of what's called the committee of the whole. He's very interested. He was very friendly. I believe Ayana, not Ayana, but what is it? I can't remember who also testified. A couple of years ago, I testified, and one of our other parents testified, and he was very welcoming. He was very specifically interested in Beers's issues, since we weren't being held harmless for the way our enrollment went down during COVID. We also, we have a friend in Wendell Felder. He'll be our incoming council member, since Council Member Gray has fallen ill and did not run for reelection. Most likely, he'll be our incoming council member. It's very rare that, if it's ever happened, that the Democratic nominee loses a race in DC. But, knock on wood, and the creek don't run. He's already aware of our issues. He's aware of some of our goals. He's attended he's attended at least one of our meetings, and so we also have an ear in that, council member. And so we just want to do volunteer training so people are ready to go down to the council. It doesn't have to be everybody. Those who are interested, and just sit down with the council members and talk to them about what we want to see for our school. All right. Also, like, there's the city council, but it's much more important to engage DCPS directly, in advance. Like, hey, we've been getting the short end of the stick for a few years. There's also OSSI, the Deputy Mayor for Education's office. Not leaving anybody out. Maybe the area superintendent. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. There are a lot of different tertiarily related individuals, many of whom we can just send a letter, but also when we want to just sit down and have a conversation, make sure Ann Beers is top of mind and that we're getting what we need, especially as, like Principal Branch said, like last month, especially as we move to doing all of our standardized testing on devices, but we don't currently have enough devices for our kids to practice utilizing, especially those children who don't have devices at home. Um, and then when they score lower on standardized testing, it actually becomes more of a self-fulfilling prophecy than anything, because they're not scoring low just because of their current academic understanding or current academic capacity. They're also having a challenge running out of time if they can't utilize the device on that specific test and platform. And so we need to make sure that at the very least we have a device in each of our students' hands while they're in school. We also have one of the strongest communities around us in terms of engagement in the city, right? The Hillcrest Community Civic Association, which I like to pop my collar, was formed out of the River Terrace Community Civic Association, which I am a former president of. But Chief Short grew up here in River Terrace. When he moved over to Hillcrest, there wasn't a civic association. And so he borrowed our bylaws, came over here and talked to us. He went over there and created an even better civic association by some standards. But, that friendly competition will go on. Long story short, it's one of the strongest civic associations in the District of Columbia, and we are their in-boundary school. So we want to engage with them. We want to make sure that they are aware of the challenges that we're having, aware of the work that we're doing, as well as the sponsorship that we're trying to get, and just like ask for their help and support. And traditionally, it's been an incredibly supportive community. All right, so timeline overview. Run through this a little bit faster. I'm gonna get off on time here. Trying to keep it to an hour and a half at the most. At least tonight. I can't make any promises for the future. So again, start in collaboration with the LSAT through December, organizing parents who want to be involved on an ongoing basis, as well as parents who are willing to, send an email, make a phone call. January activities is when the advocacy gets intense, but we definitely want to signal our intent prior to then, right? Want to meet with Wendell Felder. Maybe we'll have him come to our January meeting and Phil Mendelson by January. We want to have communicated with their offices before then. The council, even though it indirectly affects the DCPS budget, they are overall in control of the DCA. They have overall oversight in the DCPS budget, and the way that works is if they allocate $30,000, like it's a very small amount of money, but these $1 billion education budgets kind of get unwieldy. So if they allocate $30,000 to DCPS would then say, okay, beers will get 3,000, or beers will get 6,000, or beers will get 2,000. And so because the council still has overall budget oversight, we can bring up the fact that we advocated for this for additional dollars a couple of years ago, and the 5% across the board cuts also hurt us. And the year before that, we were kind of being punished for COVID. So we definitely want to be engaging with the council by January. And I'm missing a slide here, but January through March, we want to be engaging and re-engaging both the council and the mayor's office, so everybody is aware of our perspective on our issues, and is thinking of beers and having beers top of mind going into the mayor's budget proposal. Once the mayor proposes her budget, we should either before or after have already seen DCPS's proposed budget for all schools, including beers, and we'll be in position to either say like, hey, look, we talked about this with you in advance, and push back a bit, or hey, this looks good, thank you for recognizing where we are. It's not going to be a situation where we get like 8 new teaching positions. That's not a realistic expectation. But having enough assistant teachers and teachers for our student population, having enough extra resources for devices and hands, and continual education training and field trips and different things like that. And then the PTO being able to supplement where those may fall short, as opposed to, okay, like we need to get out here and find a way to put a tablet in every hand this year, which is not going to happen this year unless we do it. I think it's just a worthy goal. So, any questions? I appreciate you all. Hold on, importance of, and obviously everyone understands the importance of long-term engagement, but the more you engage, the more often you vote. And these people do look at the voter rolls, especially for communities. They'll look at your community and they'll look and see, okay, what's your expected voter turnout, right? 12%. That's where River Terrace was when I became, a little bit before I became president, 12%, right? Well, I understand that some members of your community have issues that you want addressed, but in actuality, I've got a community over here that has like 40% voter turnout, right? And I literally had a council member who's now no longer a council member, wink, wink, tell me to my face that, well, people in River Terrace, y'all organize well for a short period of time, and then y'all just disappear and go nowhere. I just like everyone to know that River Terrace's primary voter turnout is around 60% now, even in non-presidential election years, right? And so I'm very serious about this, and I have seen the change that it can bring to a community. We got an allocation for $21 million for our recreation center that our community had been fighting for over 26 years, right? So again, the long-term importance of advocacy is that effort builds up, and then it even protects it can protect your school or community long after the initial advocates have gone away. So, and then there's the call to action for parents and community. We need your support. Doing it on our own, and parents, teachers, and community, actually, I should have put here, doing it on our own is not realistic. A lot of us, they already know downtown, and so they need to see fresh faces. We're bringing a little bit of experience and a little bit of hand holding, but they're going to need to see other parents like us to know that beers are serious and beers means business. Okay. All right, stop my share there. Any questions, thoughts, concerns, objections? Did I know I spelled or maybe I spelled and beers wrong there a couple of times. I apologize. Anybody want to give me any immediate thoughts or feedback or how can I get involved? How can I help? Any of that. It's been quiet as a church mouse.
Thank you. What's the specific ask in terms of this right now, what you presented? What is the first ask for now? And then I did put in the chat in terms of the equity and digital divide, the fact that our children are being tested on devices now and they don't have enough devices. So that's an equity issue. And so let's say if we fight for that, then what is how is that done? So first, what is the ask that you're asking of us right here, right now, based off of your presentation?
Okay.
And then equity.
1, 2, 3. 1, if you're interested and able, as said, please join the advocacy committee. You can do so by emailing ambeerspto@gmail.com. Or if you have interest in any other committee, currently our committees are advocacy and hospitality and fundraising, right? But please, if you're interested in even doing a little bit, like 2 hours in a month's time, join the advocacy committee so that we can make sure that we have you we're aware of you, we're aware of your interest and your willingness to advocate on behalf of Ambeers, right? 2, if you can, please send when we send out the form letter after we develop a list of Beers's priorities in collaboration with the LSAT and beginning here tonight. Please send it to the council member that represents you and or other council members that are relevant to Beers, as well as the identified parties at DCPS. And 3, if you are willing, please help us to go down to the council and just sit down with the council members and have conversation. I promise it's not as scary as some people think it is. It's simply going down and seeing somebody who wants to see your beautiful face anyway. Because the more of the issues and the stakeholders they know, the more aware they are on the issue, the better decisions that they can make. Right. And we currently have a friend in the 2 council members that are closest to this issue, or future council members that are closest to this issue. Incoming council member Wendell Felder. Also have a friend in Vince Gray, and was very sad to see him. We definitely did not agree on anything. There were a lot of harsh words exchanged between us, but he has always been good about any issue that he agreed on, at least. So definitely have a good friend in him. And Phil Mendelson. Phil Mendelson is very similar, but the long and the short of it is we need to go down there and visit those guys. We need to sit down with Vince Gray's chief of staff. We need to sit down with Phil Mendelson. And if you are willing to join the advocacy committee and do that, that would be extremely helpful. It does not take more than really 10 people, right? If we have 10 people, we're willing to advocate, that will significantly change the way Ambeers is viewed in terms of budget allocation, priority. It just does. And so those are my 3 asks. Well, 4 asks actually. Let's help develop priorities for what we want in addition to a couple additional teachers roles and to make sure we maintain our existing roles for Ambeers. 2, join the advocacy committee and or sign up to send a form letter. 3, send off the form letter whether you just joined the advocacy committee or not. And 4, if you're willing to visit the council with us, please do. Any other questions? How can I see everything? Oh, there we go.
No, I just had asked in the chat who the education chairs, but Allison just said there are no education committees anymore. It's the committee of the whole. So then that says that all of the, and I'm sure you probably said that all council members need to see it. Okay. And
Yeah,
definitely I second that
essentially
Mendelson is a really good one.
Yep, essentially Mendelson. And Ambrose has a great relationship with Mendelson. I have a good relationship with Mendelson. So we're lucky in that sense. Okay. Other thoughts? Okay, everybody. So we will move on from that topic, please.
Oh, wait,
Again,
sorry, thank
there we
you.
go.
Can
All
I
right.
offer one? Yeah. So, and I did put in the chat for anyone who can't see. Yeah, Mendelssohn really is the main one.
Mm-hmm.
The Fruman and Parker are paying attention, but also since the Ward 7 is getting the new council members this year, that's probably something we should jump on sooner than later in terms of getting his attention around education issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because, with all due respect, the current Ward 7 council member wasn't particularly active, so maybe this also represents an opportunity, to establish kind of a new direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Other thoughts? Come on, parents. Okay, I don't see anyone's hand up. And so we're going to move into priorities. So we have 3 priorities so far. Tyler, I appreciate you keeping record. Well, let me make sure. 3 priorities so far. So one is making sure we have one-to-one devices, basically K through 5, right? We have 1 device per student. I think that we may be able to help with that. I know that a friend of mine had a supplier that was able to source iPads at a very low price for education institutions as long as you bought a certain number. So we may be able to assist with that. But we'll have to either raise funds or get those funds from the city in order to buy them in significant enough numbers. And I don't know what the exact number we need are, but it would be a significant purchase. Okay. And then there's also the soccer field that we've been talking about for a few years. I know that one of the other things that we discussed last month is having uh, teaching assistants, and specifically in our 5th grade classes. And just because you make a suggestion here doesn't mean that it's going to go like right to the top of the priority. So whether it's a big thing or a small thing, if you have a suggestion, if you can't speak, throw it in the chat. If you can speak on it, please share.
Principal Branch just put something in the chat that I thought was very significant when we think about this, the digital divide and the inequities that this has begun for all kids east of the river. And this is very troubling to me.
Yeah,
in so many ways, so troubling.
And I can't talk too much because I had my 4 wisdom teeth taken out. But when you said when you talked about the digital divide, it was just something I used to fight for in my previous schools for years and years, making sure all of our schools in DCPS were considered future-ready schools and adopting the ISTE standards, the International Society of Technology for Education. I adopted those standards for our entire school district the way we adopt the Common Core state standards. And part of the reason I did it was because of the digital divide, which affects students not being able to do their homework at home when we assign Lexia, iReady, ST Math, anything we've assigned over the years that's on a device, our students are not able to do it at home. The reason I said to name it is because when we say equity downtown, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, equity. But when we give it a specific name and name the equity, so when you don't have computers in the school or when you don't have true one-to-one, it turns into assessment inequity because the kids who are more wealthier, I tried to put the whole thing in the chat, but the kids who are more wealthier have devices at home or they have parents who can send them out to get tutors or something like that. And those children end up having the same computer literacy skills that I have or that we all have, right? Where we can do everything on a device. There's children that have those skills right now in grades 3, 4, 5, and up because they're in a different socioeconomic demographic. where we struggle with some of our students at Bears is some of our students come from lower income. I hope you can understand me. Some of our students come from lower income, so they may not have devices at home, or they may have 5 siblings, and if it's one device, and then they like, oh yeah, we give out a survey downtown. Do you got a device at home? And you say yeah, but you have 5 kids at home. That's not one-to-one. One-to-one is when every single person in the household has a device at home, and when every single person in the school has a device. You are not one-to-one if I gotta wait for my brother to get off the computer so I can do my homework. That's not one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in our city know that, but like it gets glossed over because nobody really fight for technology. So it gets glossed over, or people who really can't name the inequities. When you leave talk about assessment inequity, everybody just look at, oh, you only got a couple of tests, but our kids are on the computer every single day. Like, yeah, we take the cake from like April through May, but they also do dibbles and iReady, August, January, and June. Then they also take RCTs or other short cycles assessments. Like our kids are almost getting a test a day, and all of those tests are on computers. So when you leave the assessment piece, then you can also talk about programmatic inequity, because you need a computer science teacher to teach kids the 21st century skills that they're supposed to have to be truly ready for college and career. When you do get computers in most elementary schools, all that happens is they put them on iReady and stuff. The kids need to have it's 15 specific skills that students need to have to be able to master a test. They need to be able to drag and drop, scroll, click the radio button, copy, paste, things that take us seconds to do. Our children need to be able to do, and that comes with a computer science teacher, someone to specifically teach and professionally develop those children. And then when you go from there, you can also have, if you partner with I don't know.
Can I interject for 2 seconds on something that you said?
Go ahead.
So, most of us don't realize that a lot of our students don't know how to scroll.
Yes.
They're used to a touch screen when they use 2 fingers to scroll up. So if you hand them a mouse and tell them to scroll down, they'll start touching, what's wrong with the screen?
Yeah.
And so they can't go to the next question.
And President, when they write the test, right, they put the passage on the top half of the screen. There's more if you scroll down. And then when they pose the questions are typically geared to the part of the passage that the babies don't even see. So they haven't even read the whole passage, and then they walk out and take answer 6 questions that are designed for that passage. So it's assessment inequity, it's programmatic inequity, and then instill the digital divide. Because we still got to make sure families have Wi-Fi and hotspots in their own homes. So I can give you 6 computers, and you might not have service, whatever you need. And then you also, it's so much. You got to look at the bandwidth, the speed that are in our families' homes. It's a huge fight that we should continue for technology in the city. It's a huge.
No, I'm agree with you. You preach at the choir, but I like the sermon, right? So I listen to it all day because it's important. You had the Connect Home initiative and the Comcast initiative at one point, but people don't know that the digital divide is growing greater because of a lot of different technologies being released. If you don't understand AI going forward, what I want to say to you is it's too late to be afraid of it. That time was year before last or last year, right? If you ask any tech head or anybody who knows, it is too late to be afraid of AI. You will not be competitive if you don't understand how to use an AI going forward. And so if you don't even have an internet connection in your home, right? It just gets harder and harder to catch up. It gets harder and harder to catch up. When I use my AI, my kids were like, my adult kids. One of whom is my brother, who lived with me when he was younger. He's I was talking to Chat GPT yesterday, because I had it putting together a proposal for me, right? And I was like just giving it everything in the proposal and different things like that. So it starts talking back to me with a British voice, and he's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "I was like, hold on, ChatGPT, I've got my family around me." He's like, "Oh no, don't tell him." And I'm like, "You're a grown man, Cameron. Like, I mean, not Cameron, but Remington. You're a grown man, man. Like, you can't be afraid of this. Like, Elon has just released, you know, uh, robots into the world, right?" And I was like, it's too late. Like, technology is going to be a part of our day to day life. And so everything that you're saying, I mean, it makes so much sense to me. And I am down to help, especially in a finite way around beers and Broad War 7. Yes, we've done that a couple times. I'm willing to partner with other schools that want to engage in making sure that we close the digital divide as best we can. But really, really making sure we have got that lockdown at beers, even if that means getting to a point where we can issue some devices. I'm definitely down for that fight. Any other thoughts?
Thank you, and I'm sorry I didn't mean to jump in.
No, no, go
Passion,
ahead.
but and I also want to make sure we maintain a balance because I still value writing in cursive. I still expect kids to sign their names. I still expect kids to write a check and learn financial literacy too. So it's like a balance that we had to strike. But I just know we could typically knock out all the paper and pencil type skills, but that the computer piece is big. But it's just that when you tell downtown we need devices, that is all they think about. I gave them 400 laptops, and it's not always just devices.
Mm-hmm. Very much appreciated.
Mr. Branch, Dr. Branch, this is Nora, I'm sorry. How many times are our kids getting tested? And, here's conspiracy theory number one. I feel that the amount of assessment and testing is too much.
So,
and we have
Dr. Green,
replaced that with
Dr.
we
Green,
replace
I will.
teachers with that, but that's just my feeling.
So, Dr.
But they're
Green,
being over tested, and I
Dr.
don't see
Green,
how that makes a difference.
Dr. Green, we got to stay in scope. We have to stay. If it's not about
This is
budget
Dr. Green.
advocacy,
I sent her our year like assessment calendar so you all can see what we do all year.
okay, because like she's one of the last people I ever want to interrupt, and I've learned so much from her. But we definitely have to stay in scope. If we have 20 more minutes before we're close to time. Again, for everybody that just joined us, we try to keep it to an hour and a half whenever we can. Last month was a special exception. I'm not trying to screen share actually. Last month was a special exception, and so um, we have to stay tight on time, right? We have one more issue to go through, but I'm just trying to get as much feedback as I can. So what I've heard so far is priorities are devices, the field, and Tyler, what was the last one? Remember? Without me having to go through this phone again. Devices. Oh, and teaching assistants. Teaching assistants. Yeah. So any other priorities? Going once, going twice. And then Allison, and I thought I saw well, I know Miss Lucas, you're on the LSAT, and then I thought I saw another LSAT member. We'll circle back and take a look at our past school budget submissions and look at where we may want to advocate for more. Thank you for joining us, Madam Passmore. Very much appreciate seeing you here. let's see who else. Tay and Blaine, thank you. And who else? Who else did I see earlier? Okay. Okay. So now, and I will help you with this. But if you need it, because you probably don't. But Tyler, would you go ahead and go over our plan? I know, and I know you're working on this as well. I'm trying to make it more succinct. Go ahead and go over our planned um, sponsorship, sponsorship levels, sponsorship advocacy plan. Since, and I don't know, did Bianca send you her notes? Did you see her notes on it, which she wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm gonna go have to grab that. Sorry. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
All right. We'll hang out right here. And so, as everyone is aware, or maybe folks are not aware, like this kind of happened over time. I want to say around 2018, we started having problems with maintaining certain teaching positions and providing the same level of services to our students because our budget shrank initially because of inflation and a small decrease. And then there was increased costs, inflation, and decrease. And so, I remember we were funding the buses for field trips when our budget were bigger, and they were like $1,500 per field trip. Well, because of COVID, our budget also shrank. So now we're just having to take it to the next level, take it to the next step. And so now that Tyler's back, he can explain some of what we have planned.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Tyler, the communications chair, and yeah, I'm gonna just fill in some of this because I know that there's a few people maybe who weren't able to attend, which are part of the process on sponsorship, but just kind of bringing some things, up at a high level, and then we can kind of elaborate on those in subsequent meetings. So what I'll do is I'll just share a screen on a chart that we made. We don't have to read too much into some of these levels and some of these amounts because again, we're just starting the process, but you'll get the idea of what we're trying to formulate with creating some sponsorship levels and some things that some sponsors could get depending on what level they choose with the PTO. So I'll share the screen. You should be seeing my screen now, and I'm going to bring up the sponsorship chart. So as you can see here, and again, don't read too much into the amounts and exact things, but what we're trying to just show is that we want to create a sponsorship program in order to have different community members, whether that's individuals, whether that's organizations, whether that's local businesses, be able to support the PTO, and that would hopefully allow us to grow the balance. We've been working, often in the last few years between say the 10 kind of $20,000 range at any given time. We're wanting to expand this and make sure that we're up at the 50 range or the $100,000 range, and just really try to expand what we can do as a PTO and what we can support for the school. So you'll see that there's different levels here, price ranges. We want to think about website recognition, how much we can put their logos and kind of branding on items that we have, newsletters, the emails that go out, the social media channels that are going out right now. I mean, we're certainly trying to grow the following on some of those as is, but hopefully we again can just get more backing behind it, and then just continue to grow and offer more touch points for these sponsors to get recognition in the school if they are sponsoring the PTO. So that's a pretty high level overview. I don't know, Cinque, if you have anything more per se on that, but probably the biggest ask from us is that we'll try to probably put this into a more of a membership kit. So it's something that's a little bit more formal and easy for people to work with. But the most immediate ask that we would have of the group is if you have people, organizations, groups, businesses in mind that you think might be willing to engage with a sponsorship program, please, first of all, get in contact with them. And second of all, let us know how we can help you, get that engagement happening. So, yeah, Sinkyu, go ahead if you have additional comments on it.
I think you started off incredibly well, and I like this rubric. The long text with bullets is not as easy to digest. Scroll all the way down, because I want people to be very clear on how far we're going. Now, at one point, we got a roughly $50,000 donation. This was years and years ago. I think that Delia Perry and Earl Williams deserve credit for that donation. Came from the developer of Skyland, who we still have fairly decent relationship with. I haven't seen or met with him in a few years, but as Skyland expands, it like everything around Skyland is going to affect the value of Skyland. I know that we all like running over there for our Starbucks. I know my family does, but all the institutions in a community have an impact on the community overall. And so, like, no one has asked since 4 or 5 years ago, and I know that donation is long gone because we had to rebuild from about $3,000 a couple of years ago. And most of that is not coming through any membership dues because I don't know if we collected over $200 in membership dues last year, just being honest, right? And so I want folks to be very clear that, like, one, we're going to get out there, we're going to make the ask, and two, it is a reasonable request. And I like what you're doing here. Go back up. Did you get rid of like 2 of the sponsorship levels, or you kept it? No, you kept it for now. Okay. Or did you shrink it? It was 7, right? Or you
No,
still in the
they
process?
should all still be there.
Okay.
Maybe
I
it's
don't mind if you
the
I
screen
don't
share
mind if
bit.
you shrink it at
No,
all.
it's all 7.
Okay. All right, but this is what we're looking at right now. Any thoughts, feedback? Please give us some, just like either encouragement or tell us we're crazy. If you haven't already spoken thus far in the meeting. I used to use the "to and then you" policy to encourage people. And I will start calling on teachers because teachers used to call on me when I was in school.
If no one has comments on the sponsorship, or if you're still thinking of comments, one other thing that I can just bring up here quickly is just to show, I don't know who has seen our site yet. We put some links and things out, but occasionally we're linking directly to the Zoom or directly to the Facebook page, etc. So just want to let people know that we're continuing to build out this site. It's just anbeerspto.org. And so we are putting, you can see from meeting agendas to the recordings. If you miss anything in this meeting and want to go back, it is automatically recorded on Facebook Live. These links will also link to a YouTube if that's easier for you. You don't want to use Facebook, etc. So we're just trying to get lots of different ways in which people can engage with our meetings both before and after. So you'll always be able to go to this spot again if you don't catch the QR code or you don't catch the exact Zoom link, etc. Just know that this is always going to be here. So we do want to centralize where the information is always available. But again, we'll still put out QRs and other things in some of our communications regardless. But also too, just we're trying to build out all of these, but you'll see listings of just current projects and things that we're working on. Sorry, it's acting slow. I don't know why. But yeah, we'll continue to update this, just making sure that we are always, keeping everybody informed. And if you do have any issues, always let us know. We're contactable, of course, through a number of different methods, whether you want to use social, email, reach out to any of us directly, etc. And then finally, if anyone, if you do engage with PTO and any, any of the members and people are saying, where do I donate? Where do I join, etc. All those links are here under the Get Involved section as well. So again, just making sure that this is yet another spot, doesn't have to be the only one, but yet another spot that people can find the resources that we might mention during any of the meetings or even just when we're discussing this, at school or out and about. But just another resource that we can use.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Miss Thayer, I'm glad you love the sponsor idea because I was thinking about asking you, but you put in the chat. Miss Johnson, I love the sponsor idea. How are we soliciting them? We've drafted, one of our board members drafted a sponsorship letter already. We're probably going to take a multi-pronged approach depending on how far this goes. But we'd definitely be sending out sponsorship letters and sponsorship emails directly. We're also looking for people who have relationships with existing businesses. It never hurts to have a friendly messenger, or a trusted, a credible messenger, as they will at brand advocate. Many of us know various businesses, various business owners, and we can get the attention of those individuals. So we will be looking at both staff and parents for help, as well as hopefully some of our students to make the shift from a PTO, PT to PTFSO. Then we don't want to just do like advertising around Giving Tuesday. I know of at least three significant either business owners or executives like just in this meeting alone, right? And so, we can definitely make the ask of other individuals to like pay attention to this, and that's just basically how it starts. They don't necessarily have to be even a they don't even have to be a bronze sponsor, right? Oftentimes, because we're 501c3, and because we're getting close to the end of the year, people are looking for tax write-offs. That's why you have Giving Tuesday and things of that nature. So we're looking to take advantage of that. The sponsorship doesn't have to just be financial, and we're really looking to go hyper local and then build towards either citywide or interstate level brands, which are often going to be quicker to respond than local brands, strangely enough. Starbucks has already asked once before to meet with us, the GM at Starbucks. And so we're going to go sit down with him. We wanted to put our sponsorship kit together. Um, uh, I know of certain programs that Safeway has, Giants has. I don't know if Lidl's has the same programs, but those are just some of the solicitation ideas, and we're open to additional suggestions.
Are you talking about the GM at the Starbucks in Skyline?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know him. I got you.
You one of them business owners that we're talking about, secret
I
weapon.
know. I know.
Let's see. Okay, so do any other, if you're just joining us, we're going over and thank you all who just came in. Sorry, well, anyway, thank you all who just came in. We're going over our sponsorship package and plan, and we're currently just like discussing ideas around how to engage sponsors. So we're close to wrapping up. We wanted to keep it till close to 6:30. We have, I think I already touched on the events prep for, well, and this back to school night should have been in there for Winterfest. Is this the right? Oh, no, this is actually the wrong agenda because I probably hit a button. Sorry about that. All right, screen share.
Sinky, just to firm up, do we have a exact date for the Winterfest yet, or is it still being determined?
I think that so we had one of our board members leading that, and the current suggested date is the 17th. I think that's what we currently have on the flyer. So y'all just be aware. We're looking at the 17th for Winterfest. And just double check with her to make sure, if you would, Tyler, before you put it on the site. Okay, so went through most of our objectives. Like I said, back to school night shouldn't be here. That's my fault. I didn't catch it when I was reorganizing. For those who don't know or hasn't heard or came in late, Winterfest is our annual gingerbread house making contest and ugly sweater contest night. It's a lot of fun. We had over to it. How many participants would you say we had last year, Tyler?
Yeah, it was a really, really good number.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, probably 150 or so, something like that.
150. Like we got to keep it conservative. There were a lot of people in the room. I need to share over those pictures. I found mine, but I wasn't able to get them up onto the Ambeers page. Not the Ambeers page, but the Ambeers Google Drive. But we want to get them. We need to get those up on the website. But we had well over 125 individuals who participated. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun. Creative. We had one lady make both a sweater, an ugly sweater, and an ugly purse, but it wasn't ugly. It was just all made out of like tinsel and Christmas decorations and things of that nature. So we're hoping we have as much of a good time in December as we had last December. Please note that we won't have a general body meeting next month for the Ambeers PTO because we're trying to keep our meetings on that fourth Wednesday, and I mean that fourth Thursday, and that fourth week of the month. We'll all be, hopefully enjoying the holidays with people who love us, right? Other than that, we have some time for open discussion. Dr. Green, if you want to go back over the testing issue, or if anybody else wants to raise any issues, you are free to do so at this time. And if there are none, then we'll go ahead and wrap. We'll go ahead and wrap up for the night. Look in the chat. Oh, Dr. Green left. All right. All right, you all. Well, thank you so much for attending this afternoon. Really appreciate your presence and your thoughts and ideas. And we will see you officially in January. We will be communicating between now and then as we try to grow our advocacy efforts for budget advocacy in January. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always email us at ambeerspto@gmail.com. Myself, Tyler, and our Vice President, Bianca Phillips, all have access to that account. And I believe our treasurer all have access to the account, and we try to make sure we monitor it regularly. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Good meeting, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.